Beitzah, Perek Revi'i, Mishnah Aleph, 4th chapter, 1st Mishnah. So we're going to continue to talk. Even we already learned that on Yom Tov you're allowed to carry. And we already learned that yes, you're allowed to carry, but you're only allowed to carry for the purposes of Yom Tov. It's not so simple as we thought before. So now he's going to give us even more things that you have to be careful when you do carrying on Yom Tov. So let's see. Be'ur Mishnah Aleph. Explanation from Mishnah Aleph. Mishnatenu dana bedvarim. Our Mishnah is going to deal with all cases she'en la'asotam b'Yom Tov, that one is not allowed to do them on Yom Tov, כדרך שעושה אותם בכל אלא בשינוי. The way you do it on a weekday, but you have to do it in a different manner. So even if you want to carry on Yom Tov, you're not allowed to carry the regular way. You have to show that it is Yom Tov while you're carrying. Let's see what it means. Hamavi kadei yain. You want to bring to someone food, jugs of wine. That's food. It's allowed to. No problem. B'Yom Tov, mimakom lemakom. You want to take it from one place to another place. And also another thing that we have to relate to. We're thinking maybe there's no carrying, all the rules of carrying doesn't apply. That's not true. The rules of carrying of Shabbat all apply. The same rules. What does it mean? There's 2,000 amma out of the city limit. You're not allowed to go more than that. There's a certain area that you're allowed to walk in within the city. Not more than that. All these still apply. No, Eruv Chatzirot you don't need. Eruv Chatzirot is on the rabbis. It's the rabbis. Tchum Shabbat is a debate if it's the rabbis or the zeu. Yeah? Mimakom lemakom betoch hatchum. But you have the 2,000 amma outside of the city limit. That's a thing. So it says you want to carry, let's say, even if you do want to carry in the city, from one house to another side, it's within the tchum, even then you can carry the regular way. Lo yavi'em besal ubekupa. You should not bring them in a basket or in a crate, let's call it. You're not allowed to crate them. They probably used to have big crates they used to put on the back, and they used to carry this. This is the way they used to carry stuff. Today everybody does it with cars, but in the old times, that's how it was. Or bekupa. Hainu sal gadol, you're not allowed to use a big basket. Why? What's the problem? You're allowed to carry. It's not a problem. Because people look, this guy is walking. It looks like you guys, it's not Yom Tov. It doesn't give the atmosphere. Halachically, according to Jewish law, you're allowed to do it. But since it doesn't look good, don't do it. So what do? אבל מביהו קדימה חדים על כתפו או לפניו. But you're allowed to carry 1 or 2 jugs on his shoulder, not the usual way. Usual way was on the back. Yeah? Or לפניו, or carry it in front. Usually you will carry it in the back. Yeah? So if you show that you're doing it in a Yom Tov way, kind of in a different way, the usual way, then okay, go ahead. בידיו, או בין ידיו לגופו, you can bring it in your hands, or whether between your hands to his body, שניכר הדבר שלצורך יום טוב ומביאם. In other words, everybody can see you're going to your visitors, you're bringing them some wine, not that you're making wheels and deals. וכן, this is, let's discuss this. This is important before we even continue, because people don't realize this aspect in Judaism, or it's not in Judaism, it's in 300 years ago. For all these years, until 300 years ago, the world was different. Why was the world different? Because there was the concept of fuel. Remember, people live in a city. They need to burn, they need energy. What was the energy? The energy was fire. So you would not find forests next to city in Israel. Why? They will cut it off. The big city, people will cut it off and they will replant or something. So they would have to go forward. Wood was a problem. Today it's not a problem. Everybody has gas and electric in the house. But in the old time, fuel was a big problem. In other words, when you thought about cooking, you thought about wood. Today, when you think about cooking, you don't think about wood. In that time, at the moment you think about cooking, part of the cooking was cooking with what? Cooking with wood. Yeah? So you have this in mind, that a person before Yom Tov is thinking about which animal he's going to eat. He's also going to think about which wood he's going to burn. And if he doesn't think about the wood, that specific wood, maybe he's not allowed to burn it. Like we said, it's muktzeh. In other words, if he didn't think that this is the wood, just like you didn't think this animal I'm going to eat, if you didn't think this is the wood I'm going to use, maybe it's going to be a problem. So just have this in mind when we go learn this. Okay. וכן המוליך את התבן, and also a person who takes the teven, the hay. Now remember, we think about hay as only one thing. Hay is for animals to eat. They also thought about teven as the starter of the fire. This is how you start the fire. You start the fire. So you thought about the teven for cooking at that time. They did think specifically, because that's how they cooked. How are you going to start the fire? You're not going to start the fire with logs. You're going to start it with teven. וכן המוליך את התבן, קופה מלאה תבן לשם הסקה. You will take it in order for fuel, או למאכל בהמתו, or you will take it to feed your animals. So it says, usual way is to carry it on the back. לא ישפיל את הקופה לאחוריו. You shouldn't carry it again on a regular manner where it's on the back. כדרך שהוא עושה בחול. Like the way he will do in a weekday. אבל מביאהו בידו, but carry it like uncomfortable way. Yeah? So far so good. Another problem that I just mentioned, in your yard, you will know, I'm not sure about you, but you will know what I'm talking about. Your wife, when she has hay, she has two places for hay. Did you notice? She has the big place where she stores all the hay, and then she brings a bundle over here, a bundle over there, and a bundle over there. Yeah. So, right? That's the way it was also in that time. There was a big storage for the hay, and then they will take the small bundles. Usually your head is where? No, in that time. On which hay you're going to use for cooking? On the small bundles. In other words, you wouldn't be thinking not from the big one. So the question is, I want to use hay now from the big pile. Is it muktzeh or not? That's going to be the muktzeh. In other words, exactly. So over here the Tanakama says, מתחילים בערימת התבן. You're allowed to go and take it from the big pile. Yeah? Even though not necessarily you had in mind the big pile. You're allowed to go and start it from the new pile. מותר להתחיל ביום טוב ליטול מהערימה של תבן לתוך הצקה, אף על פי שלא הכינה לכך מערב יום טוב. Usually you only use the ones that on the ground, the small ones. It says, even though it's a storehouse, it's a big one, we allow you. In other words, is it considered part of the herd or not considered part of the herd? That one, like with the food. So he says, yes, it is considered part of the herd, this one, even though it's the far away one. You know, you've got a herd far away and a herd close. So the far away one is also considered food. If you wanted the big bull in the far away one, you're allowed to take the big bull to shecht in the far away one. So the same thing over here. You're allowed to take the big pile for cooking. but לא בעצים שבמוקצה, but you're not allowed to take from the woods that in the muktzeh. Now, muktzeh is a name. Muktzeh is a name. Muktzeh they used to call, I think we did learn it before. I forgot what we used it. What was the name? The storage place. Muktzeh is the storage place. What would you put in the muktzeh? You would put in the muktzeh things that you're thinking, for example, building materials. So, for example, you ordered, in that time, you're going to build a barn. So you ordered from the farmer across the town, excuse me, I need a supply of 2x4s to come over to build my barn. So he supplied it to you, and you put it in a place where it is designated for storage place, for wood. And now on Shabbos you say, I don't need enough wood. Maybe I'm allowed to take one of those 2x4s for cooking. So he says, that you're not allowed to. That is already...
That was designated for building.
That was designated for building. Now, but you have to think, it's different than today. You never got 2x4s. I mean, 2x4s, we look at it as rough material. But for them, it's considered to be already plain material. So you only got the trees, maybe without the branches. Yeah? But he says, what's the difference between this tree and this tree? It's exactly the same thing. Still, you're not allowed to, because this you put aside for building. It is you designated, you muktzed it, and you not only muktzed, you put it in an area where you showed that it's only for building. That's why you're keeping it there. So that's going to be the problem. You're not allowed to use that wood for cooking. אבל לא בעצים שבמוקצה, but not in the wood that in the מוקצה. Oh, he's explaining what's the מוקצה now. הרחבה שמאחורי הבית נקראת מוקצה. The yard that's behind your house is called the muktzeh. Why? Because there's a fence around it. People know that it is designated for that. לפי שהיא מיוחדת לשמירת עצים, פירות וכיוצא בזה. It is designated for keepship, to guard things. ואין מתחילים ביום טוב, and you're not allowed to start using on יום טוב, להשתמש בעצים המונחים שמה. To use the wood that are placed over there. Now, it's an interesting thing. Look at the language. It says you do not start. What does it mean you do not start? So, if you never used it in a regular day, those wood for zeu, you're not allowed to. But if yesterday you went over there and you used it for cooking, if you used it for cooking beforehand, then you will be allowed to. But don't start using it. Don't come and realize on Yom Tov, I don't have any wood, now I can do it. No. If you showed before that this is wood for cooking, now you can use it for cooking, but not before. לפי שהם אינם עומדים להסקה, because if you didn't study it before, we already conclude this is for building. It's not for cooking. So now we're going to get two definitions of what this yard is. And it's going to have two different definitions. And not so much to us, but this yard has to have a specific definition, a specific use. And they're going to argue on what the use is. So let's see. בגמרא מבארים, and the Gemara they explains, שמשנתנו היא לדת רבי שמעון. That our Mishnah is according to Rabbi Shimon. And the strange part, if you remember, Rabbi Shimon doesn't hold muktzeh. Rabbi Shimon said muktzeh doesn't exist. The whole concept of muktzeh doesn't exist. There's no such thing as designated out of your mind. I don't care what your mind is, I care what the object is. That's what Rabbi Shimon is. שאינו אוסר מוקצה. So, our Mishnah is according to Rabbi Shimon that he says it doesn't prohibit to take from a muktzeh. הילקח מותר להתחיל בערימת התבן ביום טוב. So it says, if I have food or fuel, that's what they have. Hay is fuel or food. There's no such thing as muktzeh. I don't need your mind to build it. אבל עצים, but over here it says you're the problem. What problem you did? It's if you wouldn't have said anything, if you wouldn't have made a statement about this wood, you'd be allowed to use it. But you made a statement. You said, I don't want to use it for fuel. By putting it somewhere, you said, I don't want. Now, in other words, if it just sits there since you did, in other words, muktzeh doesn't exist. But because for you, you said it exists for me, I'm going to let you exist for you. It's your problem. Otherwise, if you just put it there, I would say go ahead and use it. אבל עצים שבמוקצה היינו קורות גדולות של ארזים העומדות לבניין, but since this is building materials, הואיל ודמיהם יקרים, since they are expensive, הרי הם מוקצה מחמת חיסרון כוס. They become, no normal human being, even according to Rabbi Shimon, is going to take 2x4s, or is going to take, usually wood cost 50 cents a pound. This would cost $50 a pound. Who in his right mind is going to burn $50 a pound? That's what he's saying. The problem is not the problem is that you gave it value by putting it there. So it looks like according to Rabbi Shimon, maybe you can get a definition. According to Rabbi Shimon, you can come to a case that I don't know what Rabbi Shimon would say. If I put the same value of wood in the muktzeh, maybe Rabbi Shimon is going to tell you, go ahead, use it. According to Rabbi Shimon, the problem of the wood doesn't look so necessarily because you put it aside. It's because it has a certain value. It's building material.
I want to burn it. I can burn whatever I want.
We don't care about you personally. We're talking about, would people burn $50 a pound wood when there's 50 cents wood available? Would normal people do that?
But why is it his concern?
It's not his concern. He's saying you made a statement by making in building materials that you're not going to use it. You're only going to use it for building.
Because it's their own keys.
Yeah.
It costs you too much money.
That's right. The statement, a person knows, since it's going to cost me too much money, I'm not going to use it.
But that's the guy that wants to use it, his option. How is the rabbi can tell him, no, it's too expensive, you can use it for fire? I don't understand.
No, the fire doesn't, he doesn't,
on
a weekday he cannot tell him.
Even on a holiday.
So on a holiday he can tell him, since the society has it, will never do it. You're crazy guy, I don't care that you're crazy. Society will never do such a thing, such an act. So since society will never do such an act, I will not let you do it also. Yeah, that's what he's telling him. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, for example, I'll give you an example in our day, right? In our day, you have $100 bills in your house for Yom Tov, right? It's Yom Tov. You have $100 bills in your house. I want to use it as fuel for the fire. So he's going to tell you, you're crazy. It's muktzeh. It's money. Nobody uses $100 bills to put a fire. In other words, I don't believe you that that's what you had in your mind. That's what he's saying.
Well, logs that you built with are really, really straight too. So I mean, you would know the difference. Like, oh, this is just wood, and then this is the big long log that you built building.
Yeah, but again, you're saying something correct. But remember that not necessarily the logs that he bought he buys in batches. In those times, it looks the same. You know, the wood that he cuts in the field, the wood over there, they're all wood. And still it's the same. So even Rabbi Shimon doesn't say muktzeh, but he says nobody's burning $100 bills for fire. He says, I don't believe you. You know, don't tell me the story. There is muktzeh for that. $100 bills is fire. Maybe there's not muktzeh because you thought about it, not thought about it, but $100 bills nobody does. And if you're crazy, you're crazy. I'm still not going to argue.
Let's say I have a very expensive table. I don't want it.
Not allowed to.
In the fire.
Not allowed to. We're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss it. You're not allowed to. That's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah,
Even Rabbi Shimon. ויש מבארים בגמרא. So there are those who explains the Gemara, שמשנתנו לדעת רבי יהודה האוסר מוקצה בשבת או יום טוב. So in the beginning we explained it according to Rabbi Shimon. Even the guy who says doesn't muktzeh still holds it.
Okay.
So it says muktzeh is forbidden in Shabbos and Yom Tov according to Rabbi Yehuda, ולכן אסור להשתמש בעצים שהיו מוקצה ביום טוב. According to Rabbi Yehuda it's simple. It's not because it's expensive. There's nothing to do with the price. It's because you designated it. And he holds that if you designate it for something else, you designate it for something else. אבל בערימת התבן המדובר בתבן מסריח, but it talks about the hay, which is a stinky thing over there, שאינו ראוי למאכל בהמה. He's talking about hay that so stinky that you're not even going to feed your animals with. ואף יש בו קוצים ואינו ראוין לבניין, and it also hay that has thorns, and it has bumps and things. It goes like this. In other words, people are not going to use it for building. נמצא שאינו עומד אלא להסקה בלבד. That kind of hay is only for burning. So therefore it's not מוקצה. הילקח מותר להתחיל בערימת התבן ביום טוב להסקה שהרי מוכנו לכך. Because that's the only use for it. But if it was also, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if it was also befitting for animals, you cannot use it. Use the one that's on the ground, don't use the new one. Yeah? Because you didn't have it in mind. Because it's also for animals, and you thought that this is for animals, so therefore you're not allowed to. Okay.